Hi everyone. Welcome back to Organized Intention, where we talk finance and organization to help you live with organized intention. Today we are going to begin with the sinking funds. As you can see, I have completely overhauled the sinking funds. I found out that I wasn't using the clothing fund, the beauty and hair fund, or the back to school fund anymore. I was just using my miscellaneous money every month that I built into the budget for those purchases. It was just too complicated to transfer funds back and forth from savings to checking. So I eliminated those funds and we will use our miscellaneous funds for those purchases. Earlier this month, I took out $400 out of the emergency fund to pay off my son's band instrument because I was given a discount if I paid the instrument off in full. I used funds that I emptied from the clothing, beauty, and back to school fund to put the $400 back into the emergency fund first. In addition, I didn't have enough left over to fully fund the sinking fund accounts at the end of the month because we paid off all this debt last month. So I didn't contribute the normal $508.33, which is what I used to contribute every month. All of the debt payoff that I mentioned previously, it was discussed in the video that I posted before this one, which was posted a couple of days ago, about our debt-free journey update, and I will link that video in the description box below. So I basically started over and reevaluated how much I really needed in the sinking funds and how much I had remaining. Ultimately, I decided to overhaul the amounts contributed to the gift fund. You can see here where I did a new breakdown of that, and before we were contributing very little to this account and being very, very minimal with our gifting. But now that we have sold our house and we are further along in our debt-free journey, I have upped these amounts for gifts and holiday purchases. You can see I estimated that there would be approximately $1,200 per year, and you can see how I broke that down here. Any other gifts that aren't listed will come out of miscellaneous money that I build into the budget every month, as I said. You'll see that when I show you the budget. So the new amount that will be coming out is $600 per month. I added money to the car category because we are saving for my husband's future vehicle purchase. We talked about that in the video that I mentioned earlier that I will link below as well. We are paying off my car aggressively, and then we plan to save even more aggressively for his car purchase. So I have upped that money there. I have an upcoming surgery, and so I decided to increase the contribution to the medical sinking fund as well to cover that estimated cost. The other funds stayed the same. I have done an explanation of these funds, and I will link that in the link that video in the description box below as well. I have already created the September budget for sinking funds here, and I realize that our beginning balances don't necessarily add up to what we ended with here in August, but I had to completely reformulate them because, as I said, we completely cut some sinking funds and we had taken money out of our emergency fund, and we did have to put that back in. But here is the correct amount. That is the total amount in the sinking funds. $1,857.47 is the amount in the sinking funds, and there is $1,000 in the emergency fund, so our total account balance is $2,857.47. So that is how our sinking funds are divided now. Next, I will flip over to the August budget spreadsheet to show you the results. You can see here the bills, income, and monthly expenses and miscellaneous expenses down at the bottom. You can also see that we have a $0 balance, which is what we want. The $22,000 here might stand out. We did get a gift, and I explained that in the debt-free journey update video that I mentioned before. The $22,000 was used to pay off the student loans. As you can see here, the balance was $22,701.56. We added $701.56 to the $22,000 to completely pay off those loans. You'll also notice here that the instrument was an additional $412.81. We completely paid off that debt as well. Also, something new, I added a phone for my youngest son so that he could contact me if he needs assistance, especially with distance learning for school while I'm at work. So that will be a new regular monthly bill. I paid the first month up front, so that won't actually start until September, but I did want to add it because it's an automatic draft and I wanted to show that it would be coming out. All of the other bills you can see were pretty close projection-wise. So our monthly expenses. I've already discussed the sinking funds there. We actually contributed $114.76 this month. We were under budget in prescriptions and doctor visits. Nobody went to the doctor or had copays this month, thank goodness. In terms of cash, I never took out any for household. That's usually an amount that I would pull out in cash. But I had not spent any from the previous month, and so I knew I didn't need to pull any out there. For these were all pulled out. The school account, the eating out, and the personal were all pulled out in cash at the beginning of the month. Now, for our weekly expenses, we did go a little over on our grocery budget, you can see here. And on this last week, I did take out an extra little bit for extra chores. You can see here, I took out extra allowance money for the children. I reward the children with this money if they do extra chores or something that's especially worthy of praise. It is an incentive for good behavior. You can see that we were also under budget on gas. We just don't go that many places with coronavirus. And so we had a lot of miscellaneous expenses this month. Some, obviously, you can see here is food. A huge chunk of it is this hospital bill for a procedure I had. The total bill was just over $2,300, but I got a discount and set it up to pay in 2 installments. So you'll see the other half next month so that it will be paid in full. And right here, this test, that is a certification test that I completed. And then this transfer in, again, as I said before, was from the emergency fund that I was talking about, the sinking funds that we transferred in. The rest of it is just miscellaneous expenses. Now, in terms of this medical bill, I do have a medical sinking fund, but I decided to pay this last medical bill out of the miscellaneous fund and use the medical sinking fund only to fund that upcoming procedure that I have to have. So there are the results for August. And now moving on to September, you can see how much the projected bills changed because of the elimination of some accounts. All of the extra money this month is going to the car payment because that's our last debt. Our projected income is the same as it usually is. You can also see that I already added my checks for week 1. For monthly expenses, the sinking fund is updated to the $600, which we talked about in the sinking funds part of the video. I also upped the eating out budget, so hopefully we won't have to use our debit card that much. That money will be pulled out in cash denominations that I have listed over here. So the 100, the 20, the 300, and the 40 will all be pulled out in cash. And so you can see the denominations that I'm getting for those things. Since this is week 1, I'll go ahead and pull out the monthly expenses at the beginning of the month. And I will put these monthly balances, I will pull this out when I go to the bank tomorrow. And under weekly expenses, the projections are the same as they were for August. In terms of church offerings, that is no longer there because our church was sold and dissolved. We are currently looking for a permanent church, and we'll we will be giving once we find a church that we're committed to. The week 1 cash totals are factored in to be taken out in cash denominations that are listed over here. So all of those cash denominations are totaled here. And I do that so that I can take this to the bank and show them and say, I need 1 100, 150, 22 20s, 110, 3 5s, and 5 1s. Our expenses listed on the other side are just miscellaneous, which I always build into our budget just to cover us for our extra expenses and that hospital bill that we talked about earlier as well. So you can see here our projected budget and the income are the same. So the difference there is 0, which is exactly what we want. And for our actual budget, here are our expenses, which is the cash that we're taking out this week because we haven't paid any bills yet. And then our income thus far. So we have a balance of $323.80. We will add to that over the course of the month, of course, and we will take away as we need to pay bills. So there you have it, the update on the sinking funds, August's totals, and September's projections, and week 1. So please comment, like, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can be notified about future uploads. You will want to see how we're progressing on our debt payoff and how fast we can save money, especially once that debt's paid off. Thank you for watching.